I want to talk about another strange special interest I had as a kid as a person with autism. As a child who grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of kids my age were into sports, G.I. Joes, Ninja Turtles, and Power Rangers. However, when I was a kid, my list of odd special interests seemed to never end. When I was 8 and 9 years old, I went through a phase in my life where I became really interested in pipes. Pipes as in plumbing, water pipes. It all started when I used to play in the basement at my dad's house. When someone would flush the toilet, you could hear the water starting from one side of the basement, and it would literally take a whole minute until you would hear the water finally exiting through the pipes from the other side of the basement and then through the wall outside to this underground into the sewers. This used to fascinate me so much. The part of the piping that exited the basement into the ground was visible, and I could press my ear against the pipe to hear the water flowing through it. I used to love playing in the basement when I was at my dad's house because not only my dad was cool enough and trusting enough to let me use his tools and build things, I used to love looking at the piping. But the best part was when someone would flush the toilet. When that would happen, I'd run over to that one area of piping at the other end of the basement and press my ear against the pipe. I would listen to the water approaching, and I would hear it getting louder and louder and louder. It sounded like a freight train approaching. And finally, it would pass the area where I was listening to. I used to get so curious as to where the water was going to. But hearing the water approach from the toilet and the sinks and the kitchens and the other bathrooms was also fascinating too. Sometimes I would flush both toilets and run the water from the sink to see how loud the water would get. One morning before school, my stepmom got fed up and yelled at me and said, "Stop flushing the toilets." But when she was done, I proceeded to run down to the basement to see if I could still hear the water in the pipes. Sometimes I would unscrew the pipe caps with a pipe wrench and then pour buckets of water down them. My interest in pipes was similar to my interest in train tracks. And that is, it was something that followed a specific path that meandered around like a pathway, and I always found that intriguing. Pipes are like a tunnel that I wanted to crawl through. When I was a kid in Massachusetts, my mom used to live next to a construction site. I used to sneak over to that construction site almost every day because there was pipes over there. I used to get worried that I would get caught and get in trouble, but I did it anyway. He used to have a bunch of pipes on that site. All sorts of different pipes, all different sizes, elbows and T-pipes and different pieces. And I used to take them, well, to be specific, I used to steal them. Then I used to take the pipes and build elaborate pipe networks in my yard. I'm sure when people drove by my house, they were like, "What the?" I then used to take tennis balls and roll them down the pipes and watch them go out the other side. My poor mom probably had to pay more money in the water bill because I constantly kept the hose running. I used to stare at the water flowing through the pipes. I was also interested in furnaces and boiler rooms, like the one at the elementary school I used to go to as a kid. Sometimes I would spend an hour just looking through the window, staring at the boiler room and looking at all the intricate piping. And when I was at school, I used to love to see all the pipes branch out from the boiler room and connect to all the different rooms in the school. I used to beg my mom to take me to the hardware store and buy duct pipes and other kinds of piping to play with. And I still thank her to this very day. I remember being familiar with all the different type of sizes of PVC pipes and all the different types of fittings that was on the market. When I look back now, I do consider it kind of an odd interest. However, there's nothing wrong with having odd interests. If it makes you happy, that's what counts. I think if a special interest makes us happy, we should be honored about it and not be ashamed to let other people know, because maybe other people will be interested in the same sort of thing too and not even realize it. Well, when I got a little bit older, right before I moved, I found out the owner of that construction site did know that I was stealing the pipes, and he did see it in the yard, but he didn't say anything. And when he needed the pipes, he would just sneak in the yard and take them back and didn't give me fuss. I guess on some level, he knew what I was doing was making me happy. I feel like all of my special interests have brought benefits to this very day. And I think if my special interests were stifled, that wouldn't have happened. If you enjoyed watching this video, you might also like the video, My Obsession with Power Lines, in the link below.